Good morning, everyone. My name is Barrington Stanford. We are here with the Mr. Matt Timberlake. Thank you for
Hello.
coming out today, sir.
Absolutely.
How you
Thank
doing
you
today?
for coming out.
Thank you,
This is my
thank
office.
you. This is the first time I'm meeting Matt ever. This series is called Briefly in Depth. So I go around the city of Memphis interviewing Memphis' best and brightest, getting to know them, and then also pushing out information for the younger generation that might be aspiring to be in positions like you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, first question for you. How old are you, Mr. Matt?
I will turn 48 on my next birthday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you ever, was marketing always your thing, or were you?
Well, kind of. In high school and then early college, I was a theater major. I thought I'd be an actor. And then there's a summer school class you have to take between your freshman and sophomore year where they teach you how to be poor and live in New York City. And it's like, you're going to have to be a waiter. You're going to have to go audition every night. You're never going to get any roles. It's going to be awful.
That's good.
And then I said, you know what? I like writing, so I'm going to become a journalist. So I completed my degree as a journalist, thinking I would get into magazine writing. But this is the early 2000s, right when everything went digital and the magazine industry collapsed. So I became a freelance writer. I would write for, the Commercial Appeal, Downtowner magazine, Memphis magazine, whatever publication would accept a pitch that I had. And I started interviewing nonprofit people. And through that, I got consulting gigs. And this is like late first decade of the 2000s. And then in the 2010s, that segued into a job in the marketing department at the Pink Palace. And then from there, I've just gone through different philanthropic organizations until landing here last June at Memphis Medical Society.
Okay. Was theater and acting something that your family did, or that something that you just had an interest in?
I had an interest in it. I was in a play when I was about 12. I played the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, and I loved it. So in high school, I, was very involved in the theater department. Never could do musicals. They're too corny. So one show a year I was not involved in, but the rest of them I had a role to play. And then in college I got into like special effects, makeup, and things like that. It was really fun. I just, I had met the woman who became my wife, and I knew she probably would. And I thought, I can't drag this woman to New York and make her live in a one-room apartment and be a waiter. She deserves better than that.
There you go. I'm
Yeah.
proud of you.
Yeah.
So that's funny because when I was in kindergarten, I did a play, or I did a presentation on Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
And I don't remember what happened, but I know I dressed up. Everybody says, "Oh, Barrington, you did so well. You did. You were in church doing this. Great, cool." After kindergarten, preschool, first grade, I lost it.
Really?
Yeah, I just never. I think my confidence somewhere along the way in my childhood just got shot, and I just.
It was like a
Never.
nerves thing, a stage fright situation. Because people hate public speaking.
I love speaking and I love interacting. You can throw me in a room of people and I'll move like a chameleon. So it's just, I stopped connecting with people on a certain level. And so I was more like just an internal, like I just did not act. I didn't do anything public. It's weird. It's weird. But
Well, now you're doing this. This
Exactly.
is very public. And it's all about speaking to an audience.
absolutely, content creation for me is what I've seen now is my life's work, because I can meet so many different people. I can do so many different things, and so it completes me now.
That's cool. And it's the future, too. I mean, when I was in college studying journalism, none of this stuff was a thing. Like, I don't even think podcasts had a name yet.
Yes, they
You know? And digital cameras were brand new, and only USA Today and Time Magazine even had them. They were $20,000 things.
Yes.
It was just a totally different world. Like, I learned photography in the darkroom age, when you had to,
The sheet.
in a pitch black room, you had to wind film around a little cylinder, put it in a fluid, shake it around, dump it into another thing, and then you go in the room with the red light. It was super fun. I kind of miss it, actually. A dark room was a fun place to be. But yeah, it's all changed, and content creation is where marketers need to go.
Absolutely.
In fact, we have a bunch of medical students who are on our board and kind of aspiring to become permanent society members.
Mhm.
And after a board meeting recently, they said, "What do you do on TikTok?" And I said, "My kids annoy me with TikTok, and that's my relationship with TikTok." And she pointed out, and I knew this, we're missing a huge audience.
Yes.
We're missing people who want to go into medicine. We're missing young people who want to know more about a career in medicine. And that's the future of healthcare in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to everybody who lives here.
Absolutely.
So I'm meeting with these people. I forget when we have it. It's next week or something. But they're going to sort of teach me about TikTok.
Where is this?
It'll be here.
Okay.
Yeah. And luckily, one of my best friends works for Sirius Media, the radio station out in LA. And he had just had the same kind of meeting. So he sent me their big fancy deck to kind of give me a crash course. So I wasn't a total idiot when I got in with these kids. And I knew at least the verbs and nouns that they were using. So I'm going to let them loose. I don't feel like I should be the one making this stuff. I feel like people from your generation should be the ones making content for your generation. So I want to hear what they have to say, and then I'm just going to let them loose and hope for the best.
There's a big disconnect between my generation and your generation, even the generation before, because the way we interact with the world is so much different. So trying to get wisdom to the younger generation is exceedingly difficult because we think we know everything. We think phone can tell us whatever. ChatGPT now does everything for us, and so it was a lot we can all work on to become more cohesive.
Well, yeah, and in the old days, there used to be 3 network broadcasters on TV, 10 on radio maybe, 3 or 4 print publications, only 1 or 2 would be daily, the rest would be monthly, and those were the outlets, and everybody read the same stuff. And I mean, we could get into the havoc that's caused politically. I call it the era of news you can choose. People just have a totally different grasp on the facts of reality because you can open your phone and it'll show you. So to your point, why cram an old 50-year-old man into a 23-year-old person's feed when younger people are the ones who can do it? So that's been a hard thing for me to learn as a marketing professional, to let go of the creation part, because I love it. I started as an acting major, so I'm into the arts and I'm into creativity. I love graphic design, I love writing, I love putting magazines together, I love doing social media stuff, but delegating to others becomes increasingly important the more there is to do. So I'm finding a lot of, how would I say it, a lot of professional satisfaction from finding people with the right talent.
There you go.
Setting them loose on tasks.
So that leads into my next question. What specifically do you do? So I know you're in marketing, but for the people, what is it that's your job title? It's like, what's your...
Okay, so for the last 10 years, working for 3 different philanthropic organizations, I've been the one marketing person. For a while, I had a staff under me at one of my jobs, but that means I'm planning and executing all the social media, trying to have something daily is best, 3 or 4 a week is okay too. But we're also doing 4 24-page magazines a year, like a glossy professional magazine. That's my little list of open tasks right now. I'm making table tents, I'm writing about a neurosurgeon, I'm putting the Q4 Quarterly, that's our magazine. Yeah, I mean, it's everything. I build the graphics and marketing material to get people at events. It's all things. I mean, it's the art side of stuff, the brand. Oh, we just rebranded. We're going to be debuting a new logo soon. So that was working with a remote graphic designer and going through iterations, playing with it myself in Illustrator and suggesting things to him. Yeah, it's interesting. Graphic design has become very easy because of things like Canva, but there is still an enormous difference between professionals and amateurs.
Yes.
So I can do something if it's going to plop on social media for a day, but something like a logo or a sign that's permanently in a building, you're going to want to get a total pro on that. Somebody that has a 3-monitor setup and, a highly powerful Apple computer and every expensive Adobe program that exists.
There you go. What is one major challenge you've had in marketing to this day?
Penetrating the noise, finding things. Like, when you work in, here's an analogy I always think of. In nonprofit, you're not selling sneakers. When you're selling sneakers, you can put a cool looking shoe and a cool looking picture and send it worldwide through Sports Illustrated magazine and ESPN and wherever else. And if 10% of people buy it, that's great. But for a place like the Medical Society, we need to hit a very specific group of people, and those are physicians that are interested in joining a society. And so making them interested becomes important. So our problem becomes, how do we spend our few advertising dollars? How do we take a bet on which publication that's going to serve us the most attention and traction? And yeah, I would say budget is a big barrier in nonprofit marketing. But then the positive side is that people who engage with us do it out of true passion. When you're buying those shoes, it's like I buy a new pair of shoes every 8 months. I have 10 pair. I wear them once a week, maybe. You know,
there's
you have
hundreds of pairs or hundreds of pairs.
There are people like that. Sure. Maybe shoes weren't a good example because people are passionate about shoes. But
some real sneakerheads out there.
think about, okay, let's say wiper blades. You need wiper blades. So advertising a wiper blade serves a need to the people that need it. But in marketing, you got to tell, in nonprofit marketing, you have to convince people that our cause is worth their contribution. You know, and it's all in both cases, whether you're selling a product or selling a nonprofit opportunity, you're offering someone an opportunity. Like you want to help. Let's think about a nonprofit that does scholarships for kids. You want to help more people get high quality education. That's your want. I can help you do that. You know, come to this nonprofit and we can give you that. So it's really important, no matter what you're marketing, to think of it as a product that you can offer people.
Gotcha. Now, what is the Medical Society?
It's a 150-year-old organization that started around the yellow fever epidemic in Memphis, 1875, 1876. Doctors were dying left and right. Others were leaving out of fear of death. Nurses were dying, and the doctor said, we need organization. We need to have a body that can make decisions. We need to save our city, basically. So they formed the Medical Society, and in that 150 years, it has become an advocacy organization, a leadership and talent development organization, and a care for the community kind of organization. So because these doctors get together, they talk shop, they go to Nashville and work with legislators to get laws passed that, you know, are going to benefit patients and not the investors that now own all the hospitals. You know, it's a money-making thing now.
It is.
And that's sort of an unusual setup globally. A lot of societies, not a medical society, a lot of countries, I'll say, offer it as a public service. And in the U.S., investors have thrown their money in and own these giant hospitals. And every patient that goes through is like, if we give this guy a CAT scan and an X-ray and these blood tests, we're going to make $100,000 off of them. So we work with legislators to make it more beneficial to the patients, less beneficial to insurance companies and the investors and all that kind of stuff. So we're protecting people, protecting the profession. Yeah, and I've only been here 6.5 months, so there's others who could say that a lot better.
Yes.
And have a lot of experience. I'm actually having my first trip to Nashville with this group is in about a month.
Good
And
stuff.
I'm looking forward to it because I haven't come in contact much with the legislators. But
You brought me like 2 or 3 new questions. Okay. So my next question for you is, to the physicians that you want to market to, what do you have to say to them?
I would say to them that the Medical Society has been here for you. I would say us, but I'm not a physician, but I do feel a part of it for a long time. And it's almost like what I was saying before about offering people an opportunity. You have an opportunity to be part of this and influence decision making and strengthen the profession. You know, there was a speech the governor just did recently where he mentioned giving nurses and pharmacists the authority to prescribe. And physicians aren't into this idea because they're the ones who have the education, the training, they understand how drugs interact. I mean, an argument could be made that pharmacists probably do too. But that's a big part of the advocacy that we will address when we're in Nashville. That law will not benefit any patients or physicians. I mean, I have a passion for nonprofit stuff and it's all about helping people. I love helping the physicians, but what motivates me in this job is how those physicians take care of the community at large. And you know, Memphis has immense levels of poverty, and with that comes poor health, but also poor health care. And anything we can do to help as many people as possible is what drives me. Yeah.
What are some of your goals for marketing besides these in the next few months?
Well, this is a big year for us. We're going very loud and very big with our 150. So we've actually partnered with a public relations firm called Wilson PR. And through them, we are planning all kinds of stuff that when will this air?
In the next 2-3 days.
I think I need to sit on some of this.
Okay, you don't have to spill all the beans.
But it's big. We're showing off the history of Memphis medicine in a really interesting way. And it'll be on TV. We're looking at a partnership with WKNO right now. It'll be in magazines. It'll be on billboards perhaps. And because we're a society and not a nonprofit that's asking anybody to make a donation, we're very under the radar. Like a lot of people have never heard of the society.
Yes.
We're about to go on WLOK radio, and the guy who sent me the email that got it all started had never heard of us and was looking for how can I fill a block about medicine in Memphis, and he was Googling and stumbled upon us. And this is a guy who's been in Memphis broadcasting for decades. That's just an example of how under the radar we are.
Yes.
So this 150 year is big for us. We want the city to notice. And we're also kind of putting a lot of effort for the first time into our philanthropic branch, the Memphis Medical Foundation. And that is an organization that anyone can donate to. And those funds are used to further all of our goals, which are advocacy through legislation, protecting the citizens of Memphis. And I didn't really get into the leadership thing, but that's a big deal for us. Like onboarding future physicians when they're still in med school and pulling them in, giving them mentorship, giving them opportunities to grow. Healthcare is a difficult industry to get into, and it changes constantly. So recruiting the best talent is important.
Good stuff. A few more questions for you.
Okay.
Marketing. What are some successes that you've seen throughout your career, and what are some pitfalls that you've seen throughout your career?
I think the successes come from authenticity and using people. I found the best success when I find ways to tell stories about real people and let them tell their story. I love print content that is heavy on quotes and heavy on personal stories, and I love the interview process, which you're very good at, by the way. I love getting people to talk, and I like what I think I'm seeing you do. Think of questions I didn't even know I would ask in the course of an interview, and it leads in all these really interesting ways. A lot of people in this position are very busy, and they'll send a questionnaire, and that means the interviewee has time to sit down and perfectly compose their thoughts and
it's rigid, it's bland.
and erase stuff that they don't like and second guess what they're saying. When you get people talking, people say amazing things. And then as the controller of what gets out, you can take out all of the nonsense and all of the stuff and all the meandering and all the thoughts that trail off and use the solid gold from the mine, and I think it just sings. I'm a firm believer in the written word and that kind of storytelling, but I think it translates pretty easily to broadcasting. So I think you'll see that when we go to the radio here with your mom in a minute. When I go into these broadcasting things, whether it's TV or radio, it's really interesting because it's almost like a doctor's office. It's quiet, it's dark, it's sterile. Nothing's going on. There's a couple cameras, maybe a couple microphones, but I like to think about all the people driving down the street listening to it in their car or at home or in the kitchen at a restaurant where they work and it's just playing, and watching TV when you're sick in bed or whatever it is, and that's who we're talking to. You're using these microphones and these cameras to connect with an audience, and it's really important to be authentic with them. That's why I never liked for-profit marketing, because I don't find it very authentic. Some companies are good at faking it. Like there was a Nike commercial in the Super Bowl that really caught my eye. It was just like 100 3-second clips of people like kayaking and water skiing and playing basketball and all this stuff. And they put a lot of thought into this. Like every camera angle looked like it was a different film stock, looked like it was done by a different director. It was a cultural kaleidoscope of different communities and different people.
That's natural.
Well, it's fake also. I mean, Nike planned it. A bunch of suits, they sat around and said, okay, what are the...
that's what you meant. Okay, yeah. Yes. Okay.
But it caught my eye. It was good. This is all to say, that's why I have chosen, even though it's not as financially profitable for the marketer to work in nonprofit. I just don't feel right being inauthentic and trying to get people to buy my Viper blades.
Okay, that makes sense.
I want people to take care of each other. That's my goal in life.
Thank you, man. I respect that. Now, some pitfalls, some missteps. What are some things that you haven't done so well at in marketing?
Predicting what people want. You know, it's really hard to know what's going to catch people's eye. And I also have a bad tendency to get really excited about things that end up taking hours and hours of my time and barely make a splash. You know, like putting together a beautiful brochure or something like that. And then after a month of tweaking and a month of work, we get a tiny box of 500 and they sit in a cabinet and 10 of them are distributed. That kind of stuff happens, you know, and it's wasteful of money, but it's also disappointing. You know, there's passion and thought in this stuff, and it's just hard to know what's going to grab people's attention. I'm trying to think of a specific example of a misstep, because that's a pretty vague answer. I don't know, if I had more time, I'd probably be able to come up with a good example. When the COVID pandemic happened, I was working for an organization that fundraised in the Jewish community, and a big part of it was caring for seniors, and so we did a lot of online content for seniors because they couldn't leave their houses. So we were trying to create a community. We would have speakers and cooking shows and things like that, and we put a ton of time into it. But sometimes on these Zooms there would be 5 people in the audience, you know, and we'd put hours and hours into it. And on one hand, it was a little disappointing, but then on the other hand, it was exactly what we were trying to do. These 5 people who were otherwise stuck, isolated, completely alone at home, had an hour of interaction with somebody, you know?
That's funny that you said that, because I want to, and I think this is a good pivot for you. Instead of doing online, if that's still an idea for you on the table, go to nursing homes and go read. Or go to where they are.
Yeah.
Right? Because most older people don't know how to work social media, don't know how to work a good iPhone 17, 15.
Man, 16. I'll tell you what, they learned. Like, I was giving you the bad example of the 5 people in the audience. There were others that had hundreds on it.
Really?
Yeah, and these are people in their 70s and 80s. I don't disagree with you. I worked for another nonprofit as a consultant for a while called Creative Aging Mid-South, and that's their whole thing. They take arts programs to nursing homes, musicians, actors, and God, that brought people such amazing joy. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Fortunately, I don't work a lot with seniors right now. It's all physicians and doctors and hospital executives and things like that.
Good. Last question for you. If you had one piece of advice to give to anybody wanting to get into marketing or transition their career, some kid aspiring to be a marketing guru, director, whatever one day, what would you tell them?
I would say trust your gut. Lean into what you're good at. If you come to the table totally interested in video content through social, dig in, go crazy with it, get good, invest in the tools, take time to learn how to do it, and also learn from others, but don't feel you have to do something that they do just because they do it successfully. There's a lot of ways to find success. Being authentic, being creative, thinking about always asking why this audience. That's a very important thing. Why am I talking to this audience? So I would always say consider who you're talking to. It's fun to make art that makes you happy, but it's also important to think about, I'm talking to 75-year-old isolated seniors. This is the messaging we need. I'm talking to 23-year-old med students. This is the messaging we need. I would say that's the number one piece of advice in marketing. Always starting every project with, why am I talking to these people? It's a very important first question.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks. This was fun.
It was.
I'm always on your side of this.
My name is Barrington Stanford. This is Mr. Matt Timberlake. This was Briefly In Depth. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Barrington.
Perfect.